Hi, thanks for clicking on my video. My name is Alejandra Sofia, and this is Star Power Alchemy YouTube, delivering to you astrological insights from the macrocosm to the microcosm of you. And today I'm tuning into the ARiES New Moon. We have an ARiES New Moon on April 5th at 1:50 a.m. Pacific time, Pacific Daylight Time. So a fiery new moon. So there's four key aspects. There's four aspects to this new moon. I'm gonna go into the strongest aspects that it's making with other planets and asteroids, and then also go into some other key things that I see happening in this time of a lot of change. So to begin with, this is the final new moon. This is the seventh and final new moon that has occurred at the 16th degree frequency. Each degree frequency, there's 30 degrees, 30 degree frequencies and 30 degrees in each sign. So the 16th degree frequency has a particular energy to it that has to do with adaptation. And so it's really about making changes. And so we've been doing some bridging work, and it's kind of an ongoing theme right now in general in this time of change, empowerment, shifting, power shifts, right? And coming into individualized empowerment and creativity, and therefore creativity. So this is the final new moon, and the first new moon that started off the seven new consecutive new moons at 16 degrees frequency was in October. So just think back to October and maybe anything you started, anything you began to shift in your life, and it's sort of this final thread into this new life that's being woven into the changes, whatever, and however way that's showing up for you. The creativity, the projects, the adjustments that you've been making. So there are four key aspects to this new moon. First, I'm going to go through them one by one. The first one is that it's in a trine to the asteroid Ceres, and Ceres has a tribalness to it. Ceres is an asteroid that is the Earth Mother. It's the Earth Mother. It likes to gather together. It's in considerations of others. It's tribal. It has to do with nourishment. And when I say tribal, it means gathering together, thinking of others. There's a hoop in Ceres, right? The sacred hoop. So the earth, thinking of the earth, there's all these circles of belonging. Ceres is about circles of belonging, and has it's a strong sort of lunar connection to the moon itself, so that the Ceres and the moon are both very tribal. So that one way of looking at the difference between the moon and Ceres is like the moon, the child, and Ceres, the mother. So, and how they feed into each other. And in those classic pictures, the mother holding the child, the mother's Ceres, and the child is in reception. So much like my kitty. Just to bring him in since he just showed up. So that Ceres connection of feeding and nourishment, and in connection with the sun and the moon coming together in a new moon in a really beautiful tight trine in fire signs, that is strong for joining circles, because Aries and Sagittarius are action-oriented signs, fiery signs. It's a vital time to come together, create a circle, especially with Ceres being in Sagittarius. It's kind of multicultural. So Sagittarius is multicultural, diverse sign, needing expansion, needing to expand your circles, create a circles of belonging. So a really strong new moon, springtime to come out and gather together and create on that level, and create art, and create collaborate and celebrate as well. And so because Aries has a pioneering energy, so that's crucial with this new moon in Aries. Aries is a cardinal sign. It's a fire sign. It's a standing up for your rights, a standing up for what is right, speaking truth, clarifying, streamlining energy. It's a direct energy. It's a cardinal energy. So it initiates, it starts, and it's believing in yourself, because it's a self sign, and it's a relational sign. Aries is a relational sign about how you're showing up to relationships, how you're rooting to rise and communicate yourself, and also in receiving. The thing with Aries is on a meeting ground. It's a hot wire meeting ground of, I'm not going to hide, I'm going to be present for it's sort of like it's a sign that's like it's a responsive sign, of meeting the action of what, like an emergency is a perfect example of Aries sort of rising when it comes in and it responds to situations and directly, and so there's a way in which there's a cutting edge in everybody's life. Everybody has a cutting edge in their world, in their reality, in their spiritual life. And so that Aries is wanting to cut through, because we have Chiron in Aries right now. The blind spots are really getting revealed if you're open to hearing it and seeing it and finding out where your blind spots are and in your reality, so that you can continue to grow and fill yourself out and fill your channels up. So it's really rooting to rise to meet an occasion inside of yourself that could take you out into arenas of like, wow, I've been really fearful, because Aries wants to stand up despite fear. It wants to go despite fear. It wants to do, it's elemental. And that's another thing with Aries and Sagittarius. They're filled, they're energized. They need the elements. They need to get out there. And Sagittarius likes to be in the scene, in the scenario, needs a changing scene. So it's really being, going to the event, being there. It's live for the show, or whatever, so that kind of energy, and whatever that means for you and translates for you. So that's super strong for gathering together with others and a common cause, and creating a circle and a gathering, and celebrating that wider hoop of interconnection and coming together, but specifically through your own self, because we're looking at areas of finding your groups, finding or creating those groups, and continuing to contribute to your tribe. Who's your tribe, and how many different kinds of little, what kind of, we all belong to like different circles, and so circles of belonging, and in the way that resonates for you. So the next key aspect is the square that the new moon in Aries is going to make to Saturn. And Saturn is always the key planet for new moons. So there's a particular way that Saturn rules the new moon all the time, and so paying attention to whatever degree, whatever sign Saturn is at any given time when the new moon with the new moon is key. So Saturn becomes a key planet in the new moon chart, and so we've now advanced. Saturn is advancing, and it's at its latest degree, and which is 21 Capricorn. So there's a continual advancement in the world of Capricorn, creating your new forms. Because we got Pluto in Capricorn right now out ahead of Saturn, it's continuing to destroy the old forms. Capricorn is a sign of death, and so things that need to end, endings and beginnings, that's a continual theme of this year and these times we're in right now. And especially with the Saturn and Pluto conjunction, they're getting tighter and tighter, and they're almost at their tightest that they're going to get to in this year of 2019, until they come into an exact conjunction on January 12th, 2020 at the same degree. So there is a, so here we are, like going out ahead to 2020, right? And from April 5th, 2019, and there's an initiative taking place. And so there's the cardinal energy of Capricorn, there's the cardinal energy of Aries. There's initiation and initiative, and so there is that in you that is being called to consider your primary initiative of yourself, to initiate those things that have to get initiated so that you can fill out your channels and live from your primal self and your primal core self. And so Saturn in Capricorn, there it is, making a square, a 5-degree orb square to the new moon, is saying, keep doing the daily diligence. And even when you get pushed back, and even those old feelings, because we have 3 planets in the sign of Pisces. You know, it's really, there's a, it's learning to, this is it. It's learning to sail your emotional waters in the right direction. Choose the right emotions as you're making adjustments in your emotional body, continuing to clear the old stories, continue to clear the trauma story, continue to clear the wounding stories. And as you're learning to emotionally empower yourself and get in charge of your emotional state, that allows you to continue to create from a dream state rather than creating from a fearful state, and going beyond and pushing beyond normalcy. What is normal for you? What is normal for culture? Staying, you know, if you're staying inside of comfort zones and staying inside of cultural norms, and absolutely always questioning cultural norms, because it's very, very needed. And it's highly needed, and that's the point of these times, is to restructure culture, and we have to do it through individuals. So individuals taking up their own individual empowerment and releasing, following old bad rules and laws, and questioning you know, the bigger structures of reality and institutions. Pluto Capricorn, Saturn in Capricorn, that continues to be a theme of this time. And so individuals continuing to rise, how you're being called to rise, Aries, big energy for this new moon. So with this confrontation that is happening in Saturn, so a confrontation with a square to Saturn in Capricorn, the main confrontation that's happening is inside yourself. But if you're coming into any kind of confrontation with, you know, if you have to go through, if there's something coming up with that you have to go through the law, the confrontation with the red tape, the confrontation with reality as it stands right now, and because we're in a Saturn Capricorn year, it's a year of assessing, of just kind of, the best thing everyone could do is just sort of land in reality and be like, okay, these are the facts. Just go into neutral, see the reality of your personal life, collective life, the, you know, environmental ecology of the world, and but how you're personally showing up to the reality in all the ways that reality is, how you weave into reality from personal levels, relational levels, into collective levels, is where you're being called to grow. And that's where it's like meeting the challenge. It's big. And so this is going to come in even bigger for this new, even stronger, more pointedly with the Aries new moon energy. Aries because Aries is cardinal fire and squaring off with Saturn in Capricorn. And so yeah, confrontation, just however that works for you, the confrontation inside of your own spirit, the confrontation of yourself with your fears, having a more strong, fine-tuned insight into that conversation of going beyond your fears, daily diligence, applying yourself to the new structures that you're developing that are healthy, rewiring your brain, rewiring your story, a new story. We have Mercury and Neptune conjuncting in this new moon chart very strongly, so that still like continue to write in this bridging time we're in, continue to write the new story, continue to reroute the default program, if it's a default program for likely the disempowerment or negativity or spending too much in self-pity or woe is me, to just give yourself a time limit. If you have a disappointing experience, something disappoints you, just recognize it, feel it, let the disappointment, whatever the grief, and there's obviously different degrees of that kind of where we can meet disappointment, because disappointment can come in as a huge wave of a really big challenge that really big challenges, but it's just learning, it's continuing to learn to root, to release and rise, and despite the obstacles. So that's really big with the new moon squaring with Saturn. And so the third aspect is a strong opposition with the sign of Pallas, with the asteroid Pallas Athene in the sign of Libra. I pronounce it Libra. I'm pronouncing it correctly in my world, and it's with my lineage that we pronounce it Libra and instead of Libra. So Pallas Athene in the sign of Libra is mediation. It's like a mediation, counseling energy, and the best way to use that, because Pallas is like a sword of truth. It's sifting through the underworld. There is a way in which Libra is an air sign cardinal air sign, so there's more cardinal energy there, but it's got an undertone. It's got a secondary element of water, and so there's a real like sifting through the relational world. So one of the ways that the sign that is most susceptible to social conditioning is Libra. So it's sifting through any like spending too much time listening to other people's worried about other people or overly concerned about other people's reality, any kind of confusion between you and, what do you call it? Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the word for it. So codependency. So if there's any kind of codependency behaviors, patterns, that's continuing to clear codependency, because Aries really wants to rise in independence, and then Libra becomes interdependent. So it's learning to speak the truth, share the truth, receive the truth, and come into authentic relating. So there's a really strong opposite. That's a really strong aspect to this month of some kind of opposition. Maybe there is actually some kind of standoff happening in your reality, and usually there always is one way or another, so it's just showing up to it more fully and meeting the occasion. Then there's also, finally, for the fourth aspect to this new moon are the nodes. The new moon is T-squaring the nodes. So that's also there's a lot of cardinal energy. So there's a lot of like initiating, because cardinal energy has a thrusting energy to it. So we've got, one way or another, we've got all 4 cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, being activated through this new moon. And because we're this Aries new moon, so there's an initiation, there's a clearing energy. That's one of the things that happens with all 4 signs is it is a time of bringing yourself into more power, into more clarity, clarifying yourself, and so it's also clarifying your emotions, getting clear about who you are, and clarifying yourself in your family group, in your circles, and really just showing up, because the highlight is the new moon in Aries and the North Node in Cancer. There's always this like care for your family, and it's just really just finding out like it's really about bringing yourself more into clarity, and showing up and the things that need to be activated, because we have Mars and Gemini for this new moon. We've got Mars and Gemini making a sextile to Vesta and Chiron that are conjunct in the very early degrees. We've got Vesta at the first degree of Aries, so that the fact that that's in the chart for the new moon, it's resonating through the new moon lunar wave spell, I call it. It's the 29 days between the new moons. So from April 5th until the following new moon, May 4th, the Taurus new moon, we've got the energy of Vesta holding it down at the first degree of Aries. So that Aries is really primal, of bringing something vital that is you, that is essential, that needs to come through, needs to show up. So these blind spots, like because we have Chiron there too at the 3rd degree of Aries, it's just really opening up these places. So getting truthful with yourself, and that's the way to do it. It's your energy body. Your energy wants to come through, the things that revitalize you, the things that energize you, the things that excite you, the things that you need to pump yourself up and clear yourself and keep yourself in empowerment. And so it's just continuing to learn to on a high level, just continuing to learn how to shift your emotional reality into the positive state, and doesn't mean avoidance, it doesn't mean denial. It means you've got to do the grief, you got to feel, how to feel and continue to get conscious and choose. And especially if you see yourself going in, or feel yourself going into self-doubt and lack of confidence in yourself, and it's like, no, I'm going to do this. Because it's really the key thing here is your creativity is what's being called. You creating your creative power, Saturn and Pluto. That's the main thing happening with that major conjunction of Saturn and Pluto. It's like your creativity. Yes, you can do it. What are those things that you want to do? The ways that you're being called to bring more of yourself fully to your life, right? Yes. So I'll just read a little bit of my notes. I just read. So Saturn in Capricorn wants to advance you to a higher ground through you taking daily constructive action steps, orienting you towards what you are wanting, claiming and grounding that reality daily. Boom. In this field of the new moon, just a couple more minutes here, I do something that's called the Astrological Signature, and the Astrological Signature of this new moon is Aries and Sagittarius. So those are the two strongest signs. And so there's 15 planetary bodies that I work with that includes the asteroids and Chiron. And in all of these, the signs that they're occupying, there's a predominance of cardinal energy. There's an equal amount of cardinal energy and mutable energy. And the strongest element is fire. So fire, cardinal fire, and mutable fire. So there's Aries and Sagittarius, right? So that means it is it's a charged field of getting out there, learning, because mutable signs need to learn. Mutable signs love to learn, and that's how there's a shifting and changing. That's what mutable is they're changing, and it's through learning, it's through discovering, it's through having life experiences, it's through each in different ways. There's the four mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So they all learn on their terms, they learn through the different elements. So Pisces learns through emotions, Sagittarius learns through fire and life experience, and Virgo learns through application and needing to see and needing to do the numbers. and then Gemini likes to learn through like book knowledge, through the mind, through imagination, but definitely like finding out how to do things and liking to do a lot of different things. So and then the cardinal, so that need to kind of mutate, initiate, and mutate. So that's what this new moon, the new moon in Aries energy is. There's very little fixed energy. There's one planet in fixed, and that's Uranus. And so that has to do with, I believe Uranus and Taurus is about be willing, because we have some strong earth energy right now with Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, Uranus and Taurus. These more outer planets simplify your life, because Saturn and Capricorn also like simplification, just like kind of downsize, reduce things. Uranus and Taurus, like just reorganize your reality to come back into bare essentials, reconnecting with life-sustaining things that are sustainable. So that's that one. The Uranus. The energy of Uranus and early Taurus is just like grounding into the earth, grounding into what is truly nourishing to your being, changing whatever needs to be changed, make adjustments for simplification. That's key. And so then everything else is in cardinal and mutable signs. So that just means get out there, go do the work. Start new things, start new projects, show up in new ways, and meet what's coming at you, and create and absolutely create. So there you go. The new moon in Aries 2019. Please watch for my 12 signs that I'll be delivering the next few days. The 12 signs, each sign through the new moon, the full moon coming in. If you're interested on the 19th, the full moon in Libra, and if you're interested in a reading, please email me at starpoweralchemy@gmail.com. Thank you and much love.